Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Does Metal Have Soul podcast. This is episode number 5 and today we are going to be focusing on, well, lots of things, but mainly Judas Priest. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my handsome assistant.
Handsome?
Very handsome.
Like Glenn Close.
Yes. Melisa Kelly, how's it going?
I'm fine. It's been a very reflective week, I feel.
Why?
Well, you know, just as a gigging musician, trying to organise gigs and organise the people who organise those gigs.
Yeah, that's the real problem.
Yeah. So it's been a bit of that. It's been some creative stuff. It's been a little bit of rest.
A lot of rest.
Yeah.
Much needed rest.
How are you?
The same as I always am.
Okay.
I know that sounds, you know that feeling where your friends reach out to you and they ask, "Oh, like, how's things?" And you're like, "Yep, still breathing." Like,
still here.
Just waiting to die. Because I feel that a lot of life is just repetition, right? You just do the same things over and over until you either get to go on vacation or it's payday. I feel that.
I thought you were going to say until you die. I thought you were getting real existential just immediately off the bat.
But you know, there's a lot of repetition, isn't there? So for me, that's what it feels like. It's like get up, do some practice, and then maybe do a little bit of work on the new website. You know, filming stuff, do the Patreon stuff.
Oh, Patreon, damn it.
Yes. Of course, I do have a big Patreon. If you want to go and check me out over there, you can. I would rather you went to check out my YouTube channel, which of course is just Levi Clay. I'm sure you'll find me in the comments. But what I would rather you checked out more than all of those things would be one of our channel sponsors, Pianote. I don't know how many people actually signed up for the free Pianote trial. But again, we're asking you guys, please do sign up for that free trial. It's completely free, 30 days. If you put some time in, you'll absolutely get a load of stuff out of it. But even if you sign up and don't end up not using it, cancel it, we still actually get paid for that. So it is actually a really big help for us. So thank you for those of you who did sign up for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, Pianote are good guys.
Really good guys.
Like in the sea of music education and the rot that spews forth from its wretched hole, Pianote are like, yay!
Yeah.
So that's good.
I had a guy in my YouTube comments raging about Pianote because I gave Pianote a very good review. And I gave Pianote a very good review before I had any sort of relationship with them. I developed a relationship with them because I gave them such a good review. And he said that Pianote is shit and all online educational materials are all equally shit for the same reason, because you can't get the same level of material from somebody providing video content than you can someone providing you one-on-one content. And it's like, okay, I understand the point that you're going for, sir. And yes, obviously, private lessons with a person are a much better use of your time than just becoming a member of a website. Sure. But private lessons with somebody are considerably more expensive than having access to
so much more expensive.
A website. So you get what you pay for. But the notion that all online educational materials are equally bad is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous. And it's classist, because the fact of the matter is there's going to be a lot of kids out there who can't afford private lessons like you talk about, and they can go onto YouTube and they can go and find creators, they can go and find piano. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I did reviews for Playground Sessions, the piano app, and I did a review for Simply Piano. Now, I thought Simply Piano was better than Playground Sessions, but at its core, neither of them were anywhere near as good as what Piano was, because I had fun doing Simply, but that's more of like a video game type thing. There was maybe 15 minutes total instructional videos on there. Everything else was just using computers to detect whether or not you were pressing the right key at the right time.
It wasn't really helpful in the
long
run.
It's just not the same thing as having somebody sat at a piano teaching you high quality lessons and talking you through stuff, playing you through things so you can hear the things. An app is fine, but it doesn't detect how hard you hit a key. It doesn't detect whether or not you're using pedaling correctly. It's just very much a very surface level aspect of education where it's what can we do to it's really dark to say it. What can we do to convince the person who's paying for this that we're providing them with a good service? Yeah, it's not about actually providing a service for somebody where the outcome of the time that you put in will be good for you. It's simply, can we convince them that they are getting good value for their money? Ooh. And do you know who the easiest people are to convince that they're getting good value for money? Beginners. People that don't know what they need. So It's the Wild West on the internet of education for beginners. You need to find good teachers, and unfortunately, when you need to find a good teacher, you probably don't know what you're looking for a good teacher. So it's dark.
I fear it's the Wild West no matter if you're online or in person. So finding companies that actually appear to have ethics and morals and care. I mean, it's very much banks doing adverts where they talk about how much they care about their clients. They don't really in the long run, but finding the ones who've lied the least, I think is always a good shout.
I think in education it can be infinitely better than that, but never for the beginner. For the beginner, because if somebody comes to me for lessons, like, I shouldn't need to convince you that I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
And I have students that my teaching style doesn't gel with their learning style, but even those, I don't think they'd ever say I'm a bad teacher. Like, anyone will tell you I'm extremely passionate about what it is that I do. Like, just before we filmed this, I was filming a short video for somebody who had emailed me, who had bought one of my books, who had a question about one of the exercises. I filmed a video, and it was a 3.5 minute video, I think, and I sent it over to him, and it's like, so all in all, somebody asked me for help, and it took 5 minutes of my day to do it. Some people actually even make fun of me for, like, oh, you care too much by responding to all your YouTube comments, negative and positive. And it's like, no, if somebody takes the time to send me a comment, negative or positive, I will give you my life if you send me a comment that requires help. I will give you my time. I'm happy to do it. But if you throw shit at me, I'm going to throw shit back as well. None of these things are reflect a negative reflection on me. Like, you know what? Go to any other YouTube channel with as many subscribers as I have. Leave a thoughtful comment, and I promise you, the person running the channel isn't even going to read it, let alone respond to you.
Yeah, I think that makes me feel slightly bad. You're right, because like I watch it day to day when people ask you questions. There's times where I'm walking in and I'm like, who are you talking to? And you've literally just been filming yourself, sending, like, whether it's like an explanation of theory or an explanation of guitar stuff. So I see you do it. And equally, when it comes to comments, when I first started YouTube, I replied to every comment. Come rain or shine, every comment. Then it became really unmanageable because I had so many comments. I was like, I can't do this. It's a full-time job, and I can't because I have other jobs. Responding
to all of them is unmanageable, but reading them is not unmanageable.
That's true. So I do try and read every single comment, and I try my best to get back to most of them. And but yeah, it's I see the time that you put into being a good teacher, and I'm a horrible student, right? I'm a horrible student.
That's true.
Because I'm bad-tempered, and I'm always like,
an abusive relationship with practice.
I have an abusive relationship. I want to bring that back up again. No, I'm not going to bring it back up again. All I'm saying is, I don't eat Doritos.
What?
You said that I sit on the couch and I eat 6 packs of Doritos. Well, don't even eat Doritos.
Okay, yeah, I know, but that was... Sorry, I went with some from... Just to be clear, your issue was with the fact that I picked Doritos.
Yes!
Because earlier with your lunch, you had a little bag of Quavers. Now, if I said that you sat on the couch and ate 24 bags of Quavers...
That would still not be factual.
Exactly. The whole imagery was ridiculous. But your issue wasn't with the amount of food or that you were just sat on the couch. Your issue was with Doritos. Okay,
I watched it back in the edit and I was like, you motherfucker.
Okay, speaking of YouTube, why don't you give me some Metalhead Musings?
Ooh. Okay, do you want to have funny, stupid...
Well, we're doing all of them, so...
Okay, fair enough.
Whatever's in front of you.
I'm going to start with the touchiest one. Only because I read the comment, it's a negative comment, and I read it, and initially I was like, oh shit, is that how I'm viewed? And
I think I do prefer negative comments. And I'll tell you why.
I don't.
I'll tell you why. With a negative comment, the time that it takes out of my day to respond to them is minimal compared to a positive comment. Because when I snap back at people on YouTube, you're talking seconds of my time. It's no issue for me to do it. Whereas when somebody has a question about a thing, I'll give them minutes of my time. So those add up.
Okay, that's fair. I think I'm just... underneath this exterior, which is very clear that I can stand up for myself, is someone that wants to sit in a soft pillow and play Animal Crossing and eat tiny cheesy snacks and not talk
Doritos.
to anyone. Definitely not Doritos, okay? I'm not a Dorito fascist. Okay. Never mind. So, oh no. NB18 says,
yes.
Speaking of Deep Purple video, the Deep Purple video, 90 to 95% of YouTube reactors don't have a clue. She made a mistake right away by calling it the original singer and then spends time talking about the wrong singer. I was actually just talking about the same singer the whole way through, but they misunderstood. Of course she correct.
You were talking about
David, I think I was talking about Coverdale.
I think Coverdale was singing on the... I think you were talking about Ian Gillan.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But they was all... I was talking about the right singer, just didn't get the name right. It doesn't matter. Of course she corrects herself, so all should be forgiven. Please subscribe and send money, and don't forget to buy merch. That way she continues to bring you this best quality reactions. Okay.
I'm just going to interject before you say anything, right? It's almost like what he's asking for is a well-researched reaction. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you research the thing that you're reacting to, you're no longer reacting to it. You are planning. You have a plan in place. A reaction should be spontaneous.
Absolutely. And if it's looking at the stuff that I've done this week, right? I did Lacuna Coil. Now, unfortunately, I had read about Lacuna Coil before I listened to him.
Yes.
It massively coloured my listening. So despite the fact that I'd never heard her before and I'd never heard the band before, I still went into it going, I already know that you've said things that I really deeply disagree with. Now, I could probably have done the exact same thing with Deep Purple, but I think for me, the thing that fucked me off the most was like, please send money and buy merch.
Yeah.
Get fucked, okay? You're consuming free... I need to stop saying get fucked on this channel. You're consuming a free content, right?
Yes.
I have never, ever, ever sat in a video and went, please give me money.
Yeah.
Not ever.
But more importantly, even if you had, so what? Like, you as a consumer, not you, Mel, you, the person that writes a comment like that as a consumer, are the person sat on YouTube consuming content that people have made. You picked this piece of content because you wanted to watch it. So somebody has created a thing that you are getting enjoyment out of. What's wrong with them trying to monetize that? I just don't... Like, and reactions in general are next to impossible to monetize because, rightfully so, the bands claim them and they make revenue on them.
And I take no issue with that.
Yeah. People that taking it, like, he has an issue with you making reaction content. I don't like reaction content either.
No, neither do I, to be honest.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is, just like I don't like making clickbait transcription videos where I have
nobody does
titles, but the amount of people I've argued with this week where they're like, you didn't need to give this video this title. Like, the content was good, but your title is shit. And it's like, I'm sorry, sir, but this transcription that I've posted is from a 30-year-old video. And this video itself has been uploaded to YouTube for 12 years. I noticed that in the 12 years this has been uploaded to YouTube, you've never seen this video. Yeah. And yet now I've made this video and I've given it this title. Not only did YouTube show it to you, but you clicked on it. And you watched it, and you left a comment. Yeah. So don't sit here and talk to me about what you need to do to title a video in order to get people to watch it, because ultimately, we do what we have to in order to make ends meet. I do that with transcription videos. Mel makes reaction videos because guess what? When she makes original content, like this podcast, for example, you people are shown it on YouTube, and you don't click on it. So we have to make vapid content like reactions to get you around and hope that we can hold you long enough to get you to actually watch something that is deeply personal and shows you who we are as people. You're not interested in who we are as people. You're interested in just watching some, I was going to say, it's not all reaction channels are women, but I think the more popular ones are women. You just want to watch some attractive woman get excited about a thing that you love. That's it.
Fuck, it's not going to happen.
That's all you want. You just want someone to go, oh my God, this band are amazing. Get fucked.
I can't, okay? I realise I am part of a space that I don't like. Eat a bag of Richards. I'm not reinventing the wheel, right? I understand that. I'm making reaction content, but like you say, it's because in this sphere that we live in creatively, my original stuff doesn't get eaten up. And some would argue, well, it's just shit, then stop doing it. But I can't stop doing it because it's something I'm deeply proud of and positive about and all the rest of it. So I have to find a middle way. It is the Buddha of it all, you know? But the thing that fucks me off is that these are the same people who'll go, oh, well, you know, reaction content's garbage and how you can't create anything. And it's like, motherfucker, Mail at the Movies, I stand by it, took so much time. And I was really proud of it, and it was funny, and it was adding new things to the tube, but nobody ever watched it. Yeah. So it's like, you clicked on something, and then you want to talk to me and tell me, how dare I? So I did go back to NB. I went back to NB, and I'm still waiting NB 18, just so you know. If you ever see this, which you probably won't, I'm still waiting.
Of course not, because he's just out on YouTube looking for attractive people to say nice things about bands that he loves.
Yeah. Well, I went back to him and I said, the most I've ever been paid for a video to make a video by someone requesting, which I don't really do anymore, but I was doing for a little while, was a band asked me to give a god honest opinion of their new upcoming Japanese band. And I was like, well, listen, when I say honest, I'm gonna be honest. So if it's shit, I'm gonna say it's shit. And they were like, yes, if it's shit, say it's shit. If anything, that'll be better. And they paid me £50 for that. A whole 50 Scottish pounds, right? And I went back and I stand by it. If NB18 can come back to me and he can make a video that exceeds mine in quality, charisma, comedy, content, the whole thing for £50 or less, I will concede that he knows what he's talking about. He's better than me. Yeah. I will concede.
The reality is these people don't know what they're talking about. Like, I was laughing with Gavin about... and Gavin actually pointed this out. So there was a guy raging about a title of a video, and he said, I miss the good old days where you used to make like all those Brent Mason videos. That video of you teaching 15 different Brent Mason solos was absolutely amazing, and it's like some of the best content I've ever seen. You know, why don't you make content like that anymore? And I looked at the stats on it, and I was like, that video is 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's not even the top 20 videos on my channel in terms of views. 4 years old, and it's not managed to get that. And then Gavin turned around and said, that video that you love and that you said you've watched so many times, did you ever leave a comment on it? And I went and looked. No, he never left a comment on the video. So a video that you'd watched multiple times that he really enjoyed didn't drive him enough to actually leave some sort of comment on it.
This is all on you, Gavin.
And yet he makes a comment on another video complaining about why aren't things like they used to be. Because of you. Not because of me, because of you. You, the viewer.
Damn it, Gavin.
No, Gavin just pointed out. He didn't do it.
Sorry, Gavin.
So, if you're watching this and you are enjoying it, you know what? If you're watching this and you hate it, still leave a comment because it helps.
I think it is like first world problems. Like, I understand that nobody's digging trenches. I'm currently not having to like sell my ass down the road for tourist pennies.
Could come.
But the point is, I really wanted to get into the room with the person and just find out a bit about them and go, are you for real? Yeah. Are you wandering the earth with this brain? Yeah. Because that's impressive. You should wear a helmet.
All right, what else you got for us?
Okay. Michael Carlson says of Arch Enemy. Mm-hmm. This is a chewy one. I think sometimes I'm going to bring chewy ones about being a woman in metal because I find them the most like, ooh.
Well, and because you are a woman.
And I am.
You are adjacent to metal, but, you know, your input, your view on things like that is interesting. It brings a different perspective than the average person is. Like, I can't sit and talk about these perspectives.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point, I think.
I'm certainly going to chime in and tell you what I think. Stop complaining, go make me dinner.
I will headbutt you. Anyway, for me, this is not my thing. I have nothing against female vocalists or female musicians, but this doesn't work on any level. I really love black and death metal, but I don't like Alyssa or Angela. Controversial. And I don't like their first vocalist either. But I can live with the vocals on this. My biggest no-no with Arch Enemy is that the music and the production are not good enough. Their music is like a watered-down heavy metal. Competent, but boring. Guitar solos are just pointless, noisy, showing off. Production's too clean and fat, in quotations. Overproduced, to say the least. No rawness anywhere, just a giant bowl of fluffy cream. All this is my opinion, of course. I respect the band and their fans, but it's not for me. Also, I think that the look at my sexy tummy is not only passé, but mostly sexist. She is beautiful, Alyssa, and hot, and it's very blatant and in your face. Kind of like Britney Spears. Yes, I'm old. I don't know the flavour of the day, sexy singer. Sorry for rambling, just an opinion.
You know, as he went on there, I hated the comment less.
Oh, okay.
Hated it less.
That's quite good.
Because the comments he makes about Arch Enemy are fair. I thought he's kept saying things like lots of noise and things like that. And if anything, if you're going to levy any accusation against Arch Enemy, especially as they've gone along, it's that their production has got tighter and tighter and tighter to the point that it's like some of the tightest out there. So you could argue overproduced. But I like that. Like, Arch Enemy were my introduction, I would say, to death metal, and they're more of a mellow death band. Mellow as in melodic rather than mellow as in laid back.
Yeah, I think for me when I first read the comment, I was like, he's not surely saying that female vocalists are no good in metal. He wasn't, obviously. And like yourself, when he was going along with the production, I was like, ooh. ooh. But the point that he made at the end about how, you know, Alyssa's been hired to be this sexy singer who's just, you know, running around in gear that you would expect on a WWE female wrestler and just being like, it's quite passé. I would like to fucking think so. It's 2025. Like, our metal, it's so bizarre. I meet so many metal fans of bands who are articulate and funny, and I can have a real conversation with and get into the nitty gritty with them. And then there's some of them that I meet that I'm like, why aren't you outside banging a stick on the ground for entertainment? Because this is the most nonsense I've ever heard.
That felt like a relatively articulate comment, and I think.
Oh no, that's not Michael. Sorry, Michael, not you. You're not one of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're saying the opposite.
Oh, okay.
That felt like an articulate comment to me.
Yeah.
And healthy. Like, he acknowledged that it was an opinion. The amount of people that like to tell you things like they're facts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Deep Purple fans.
Yeah, I don't mind in the slightest that this guy doesn't like
No.
Arch Enemy. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Good for you. You know, not all things are for all people.
Yeah.
I hate Arch Enemy. Let me finish. I hate Arch Enemy from the point that Alyssa joined the band, and I dislike Arch Enemy from the point before Angela joined the band.
So you're Angela all the way?
Yeah.
The first time I saw Angela, I was ready to tear all of my hair out, tear all of my clothes off, run into the moon and be like, this is the way the world should be. Yeah.
We'll have to listen to Arch Enemy while we're driving to the gig tonight.
So good. But I think that the point, I didn't want to agree with Michael, even though, Michael, your opinion's your opinion. Opinions are not necessarily right or wrong. But I just read it and I was like, yeah, I want to be a girl's girl always. But then I'm like, oh, Alyssa, shut the fuck up and go away. But Angela put her in that place, and I love Angela for that. So
yeah, like for me, it's not. It's partially tied to Angela, but actually it's not. It's the band is Michael Amott's band.
Sure.
And he's always been there. His brother Chris Amott has not always been there.
Okay.
His brother Chris was there on the Wages of Sin record, which is the first one with Angela. He's on Anthems of the Rebellion, which is with Angela. He's on Doomsday Machine with Angela. He's on Rise of the Tyrant.
Oh, you're a real fan.
With Angela. And then I think that was the last album he did with them. Them as a pair, Chris and Michael together, it's great to me. I love it. I love the way they play together. I think Chris is he's got all those shred chops, but he's got a great tone and very expressive bend and very melodic. Michael's playing I can take or leave, which is why I don't really listen to them anymore. But yeah, as a pair, love them. So
yeah, I really liked a lot of the Arch Enemy stuff that you've played for me, and I think Angela is OG metal queen.
Yeah.
Love her.
Did you have another one, or shall I do that one about UFO? So someone said, Kiss are definitely my first big love. Being older, they filled the void left by the British 70s glam rock. And then said, UFO, Try Me, shows off Phil's voice and is a great orchestral ballad with a great Michael Schenker solo. So we are primarily, in this episode, as we move into talking about metal bands, we're going to be listening to mainly Judas Priest this week. We'll talk about the history of Judas Priest. But I thought it would be interesting because I want you guys to know that when you watch this podcast or listen to the podcast, leave us a comment. We are going to read every single one of them. And we are going to engage with you. And if you make suggestions, we are going to engage with those suggestions. So someone has suggested that Mel checks out Try Me. And so we are going to listen to that now. And we will come back and let you know what we thought of it.
Do. Thanks, Keith.
Here we go. Try Me. Okay, cool. What do you think of that?
That was nice. That's probably the best thing I've heard from UFO. The vocals did sound fantastic. Phil had like this lovely natural distortion, which is always fun to listen to, especially if the recordings from like the 70s. I think I'm just always constantly looking for Joe Cocker and everything I hear from there. Yeah. I liked the orchestral thing. Usually if you see like rock band doing a ballad with orchestral, I'm like, no. Yeah. But
it's cliche. I will say, like, to me, it's very cliche.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love cliche too, so I'm not even going to sit here.
So for those of you that watch it on YouTube, not watching it on Patreon where you can hear the music, my thoughts while I was listening to that were, I turned to Mel and I was listing off the chord progression, because it's paint by numbers, like I know it. I could, annoyingly, piano's not connected. I could have just played along with it because you can, when you study enough, when you practice enough, and of course this is me encouraging people to do some practice, stuff like that just becomes easier and easier, right?
Although I will say it might well be cliche, but we're listening to it now it wouldn't necessarily have been so impossibly cliche then.
Oh, I think it would. This is 1977.
Okay, 77 is a bit later than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But still, a better track than I thought it was going to be, because UFO did make
Yeah, I know that.
any impression on me.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're in that place with UFO where they haven't made a great impression. Therefore, you're never excited to listen to them. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the nature of this podcast, right? We only get to have a little taster of a band
Well,
rather than really delve in there.
Yeah.
I'm desperate to keep playing because I see Lights Out is next, and that's a great track. But I won't do that.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for that comment and
thank you,
the suggestion. As I say, if anyone else wants to make suggestions, please do. Always let us know. We're always happy to.
Absolutely, and thank you to everyone that's been watching the podcast so far. I realise that it is slightly different from your normal programming, but it is lovely to see friendly faces, regulars pop up and be like, "Hello there," and here's another thing.
I have just read another comment from somebody that I do want to read. This is from Steel is Real. I'm not going to say their actual name.
Steel is real.
I won't say their actual name because we were talking about Uli John Roth and me saying that one of the reasons he wasn't more well known is because he didn't go with a traditional guitar brand, and we talked about like the marketing of guitar brands and how that can play a big part into getting your name out there.
Yeah.
So Steel Israel says, fantastic show, guys. Really enjoyed it. Another thing to note about the signature guitar discussion, the cheapest Sky guitar, which is the guitars that Uli John Roth plays, is $16,500. And of the classic guitars that people might associate with Uli, sold by Sky as their classic series, the cheapest is $28,000. I can't remember what they used to cost, but can't imagine that they were much cheaper, taking into account inflation.
$8,000.
Yeah, you need to look at these guitars as well.
That's fucking wild. If you're spending a down payment on a house, but on a guitar, that's fucking hideous. That's hideous.
So yeah,
What the fuck is this?
Now, if you want to, you can go on AliExpress though, and you can get one for £500.
I wouldn't give you the steam off my pish for that. It's oogly.
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 Okay, so should we do the meat and potatoes of the show? We are here. Oh, what?
We've not done news.
Oh yeah, of course.
You're like, let's move on. Fuck what's happening in the metal world.
Do you know why I feel that way? Do you know why I'm like? Do you know why I'm
Here he
like?
goes.
Fuck that. Let's move on and actually talk about Judas Priest, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember reading an Onion article many years ago.
The Onion, always a good source of news.
That still stands up as one of the great pieces of satire because it's both satirical but also 100% true.
Okay.
And that is, metal musicians still continue to create albums despite the fact Megadeth have already made Rust in Peace.
Do you know the thing is, though? The Onion have got it right, as always, because the thing is, when I was looking through the news, one of the articles was, it might have been Symphony X, I don't think it was, someone like that. This band has half finished their album. What the fuck kind of news is that? That's like,
that could be Symphony X, you know. We've got a new album coming in 2026. Like, fuck off then. You know,
come back when it's finished.
Yeah, imagine how much closer it would be to being released if you didn't waste the time giving this shitty press release.
You hateful bitch. Okay, where am I? This is about Opeth and one of the shows they did in Bristol. There was a couple of reviews have already come out because, of course, Levi and I are going to see Opeth this evening.
We are.
And I didn't want to read anything because I was like, oh, I don't want to be cut. But then I found myself reading it. I double bluffed myself. This is about Opeth in Bristol.
Okay.
As Opeth frontman Michael Ackerfeld remarked halfway through his astonishing evening, this gig is now set in history as the shit show. The Swede's famous banter between songs revealed his bowel emptiness following a rich curry the night before the show, prompting chants of "You shit your pants" from the audience. Several tales of fecal distress followed from the frontman, but despite his humorous pleas to cease, the chants continued. Next time Opeth play in Bristol, expect more of the same.
That is good news.
It's good news. That made me laugh. I was like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
You make one passing comment and then your whole audience are just like, you shit your pants.
Well, we had that when I went to see Lawrence and they brought their guitar tech out.
Oh, but they weren't happy
Whatever
about
his
it.
name was, fucking...
Mike.
Yeah, it was Mike. You good memory. You weren't even at the gig and you remembered.
See? Nothing. I remember nothing.
It's probably one of those 63 tabs you've got open. So they send the guitar tech out for him to move something across the stage, and the band are like, "Oh, everybody, big thanks to Mike for bringing this out for us." And then the audience just chanted Mike, 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 and wouldn't stop chanting Mike, Mike, Mike.
I love that.
And then between songs, people at the audience were just chanting for more of Mike, to the point that by the end of the gig, they had to bring him back out, so he just danced on the stage while they were doing this.
Say what you will about Glasgow, but I think Glasgow's got very top banter for gigs like that. Yeah. I also love that Lawrence were kind of annoyed about it. That made me laugh. Okay.
If that annoyed Gracie Lawrence, don't read comments on Twitter or
TikTok. We're on TikTok, girl. Woof. You're not getting an easy time over there. Okay. Pantera prove they are still untouchable. To say that tonight has been a long time coming is something of an understatement. Performing their first headline European tour in 25 years, the excitement of having Pantera back is so palpable you could practically cut the air. Tonight the support comes from hardcore squawking King Parrot and the down-home groove metal stylings of Power Trip. As the curtain falls, the crowd surges forward. The brutal buzzsaw riff of a new level kicks off the stage. Phil looks and sounds nothing short of extraordinary. Right. I'm not saying this just because he might well be a Nazi, but he doesn't sound extraordinary though, does he?
I can't answer that question. Do you know why I can't answer that question?
I don't know.
Because I don't fucking care. I don't care, right? Pantera didn't play.
Oh, they didn't.
There was no Pantera because Pantera are dead. Pantera are dead. Dimebag Darrell is dead.
People tell me all the time on YouTube.
Vinnie Paul is dead. That's Pantera. They were Pantera before Phil Anselmo joined the band. That's Pantera. Vinnie Paul can say there's going to be no more Pantera. Okay, he said there's going to be no more Pantera. He died. There's no more Pantera. And I say this as somebody who's such a big Zakk Wylde fan, and Zakk Wylde is playing guitar for them, right? Cool. You're going out and you're doing a tribute show to Dime. Fantastic. It's not Pantera though, is it? It's just not Pantera.
Well, it's kind of like the conversation we were having about Linkin Park online, like on the comment section, and some people were very much of the opinion that they should just go out and call themselves something new now that they have the new female frontwoman, and some people were like, it doesn't matter because Mike's still there. Depending, should there be a threshold, like if 50% of your band are dead?
You know what it is? It always just depends on how popular the band are in the zeitgeist, right? Because the best example of this is Guns N' Roses. The same people here that are saying, Pantera played, are the same people that would be like, 10 years ago, Guns N' Roses are in town tonight, but it's not really Guns N' Roses because it's just Axl Rose, right?
And he's fucked.
Yeah. Guns N' Roses with just Axl Rose, love them. Chinese Democracy, love that record. I really do. Very different to everything before. I don't really think of it as being Guns N' Roses, but I like the record. Pantera, without the driving sound of the drums and the driving sound of the guitar, the thing that made that band, I mean, sure, yeah, Rex Brown on bass, great. Anyone can fill those shoes.
Yeah. Also, like Phil, unfortunately, like people definitely talked to me when I did Cemetery Gates about how great Phil was, and I agreed with them. His vocals on that are outstanding.
Yeah.
But as time has went on, and between alcoholism and smoking, Phil's voice is not there anymore.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm sure there's an incarnation of it now that's still listenable within the context of the music they're creating, it's not extraordinary, and I won't be told by some fucking journalist at Metal Talk that it was extraordinary.
Some fucking 22-year-old that's just happy to finally get to see a band that disbanded before he was born.
And get paid the princely sum of £42.50 for like his blog that will be gone, tomorrow's chip paper in the next hour. Oh! Sorry, I got on my high horse about that one.
All right, what else you got for us?
Okay. There was a death one, but I chose not to do it because I don't want to become that people that talk about people dying. Unless someone really important died.
Like Gene Hackman.
Oh, listen, you best believe I love Gene Hackman. In the birdcage, forget about it. But just so FYI, the day that Tom Waits dies, there will be no podcast for the next 4 months because I'll be grieving. Slayer are teasing a return to the UK. The thrash metal legend Surprise Union rumbles on as they confirm shows in Canada and the US and tease appearances. Wait for it. Tease appearances in England and Wales. What the fuck is wrong with Scotland, Slayer?
Who's playing in the band?
Yeah, it doesn't say.
I feel like...
Good journalism. Well done.
I feel like Tom Araya said he didn't want to do...
Scotland.
that he didn't want to that he wouldn't do Slayer anymore, right?
I'm gonna now make it my business to get news that makes you do that thing where you just go because it makes me laugh.
Okay, so by all accounts, Tom Araya on bass and vocals, Kerry King on guitar, Gary Holt on guitar, and Paul Bostaff on drums. So it's not a terrible lineup, but you know, Jeff Hanneman died, so at least Tom Araya's there. I'll give it that. But I don't know. Slayer broke up in 2019, and they were so adamant that this is the final time you get to see Slayer, and I just don't like when bands do that. And sure, I'm sure it's not the initial plan, but have some fucking integrity. What happened was Tom didn't want to be doing Slayer anymore, so they disbanded. Kerry King went on to be like, well, you know, I'm basically Slayer, so I'm just going to do a new thing. I'm going to launch a new band. No one cared. And he's realised, oh shit, I probably actually can't make any money unless it's Slayer that makes money, not Kerry King.
Yeah. So, I think...
don't care.
I just went on to read it, and it just said, the thrash metal legends uploaded an image of their eagle logo adorned with the English and Welsh flags. And I stopped reading after that because I was like, get fucked, Slayer.
Hang on, just so we're clear, are you disappointed that Slayer aren't coming to Scotland?
No. I felt the slight. I was like, okay, get fucked then.
Oh well, you know, they're not coming here, so I don't get to see them again. I've seen them before. So
I mean, I went the news again. You know how last week I said the metal news was slim pickings. Mm-hmm. The metal news was not slim pickings last week. This week was slim pickings. Right. It was basically like there was one article in the Guardian of a metalhead trying to save his local church organs.
Why?
For metal music. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now. Thank you.
That's the other reason we talk about bands and the history, because history never disappears. There's always history. Sometimes there's just not news.
History never disappears.
History never disappears. Sometimes there's no news.
Tell me, why have we always been strangers? What's the line from UFO?
Don't remember.
It just popped into my head.
You know what? I remember nothing of it because it was the most generic.
Keith, Levi Clay does not speak for all of Does Metal Have Soul podcast.
No, Levi Clay speaks for Levi Clay, which is why he said, I do not remember it, rather than we do not remember it. Words are difficult.
I swear to God today, you're pushing me to the edge. If you think that I won't physically...
Okay, right. Let's move on and talk about Judas Priest. Do you remember you did that yesterday and hit me in the face? Okay, maybe don't do that. Judas Priest.
I get dizzy from that one. Sorry.
Judas Priest are an English heavy metal band formed in Birmingham in 1969. They have sold over 50 million albums.
Damn.
And are frequently ranked as one of the greatest metal bands of all time. Judas Priest have also been referred to as one of the pioneers of the new wave of British heavy metal movement. So this is an important part of the history in metal. Bands like Judas Priest and, of course, Iron Maiden. Are cited as formative influences on various metal subgenres, including speed metal, thrash metal, and power metal, as well as the hard rock glam metal scene of the 1980s.
Beautiful.
Despite an innovative and pioneering body of work in the latter half of the 1970s, the band had struggled with poor record production and a lack of major commercial success until 1980, when their sixth studio album, British Steel, brought them notable mainstream attention. During the 70s, the core of bassist Ian Hill and Rob Halford and guitarist Glenn Tipton and KK Downing saw a revolving cast of drummers before Dave Holland joined them for 10 years from 79 to 89. Since Holland's departure, Scott Travis has been the band's drummer. Scott Travis of the band Racer X, one of my favourites growing up.
I'm sure you've mentioned them.
Yeah, Halford left Judas Priest in 1992, and after a 4-year hiatus, they regrouped in 1996 with Tim Ripper Owens, formerly of Winter's Bane, replacing him. After 2 albums with Owens, Halford returned to the band in 2003. Downing left Priest in 2011, replaced by Richie Faulkner. Richie was someone that I used to play with on the London scene.
You've definitely talked to me about Richie Faulkner before.
I say play with, he was in, I'm pretty sure they were called Ace Mafia. Yeah, he was in Ace Mafia. And we were in Hellcat Molly, and we played a couple of gigs together.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he always played in the Monarch. There was they weren't called Metal School. There was a metal cover band that played in the Monarch on Sundays, if I recall. It was Sundays, and they always had.
So you're like 2 away from Rob Halford.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
The current lineup consists of Hill, Tipton, Travis, Halford and Faulkner. Although Tipton remains as an official member of the band, he has limited his touring activity since 2018 due to Parkinson's disease, with Andy Sneap filling in for him. Andy Sneap, a very prominent metal record producer, and was incredibly influential on metal sound in the mid to late 2000s. He produced a lot of the most popular metalcore records, so he knows what he's doing.
He must do. His second name does sound like the kind of fart you would cut in a lift. You know, I did a sneep in the
a sneaky Mel. Halford's operatic vocal style and the twin guitar sound of Downing and Tipton have been a major influence on heavy metal bands. Judas Priest's image of leather spikes and other taboo articles of clothing was widely influential during the glam metal era of the 80s. The Guardian referred to British Steel as the record that defines heavy metal. Despite a decline in exposure during the mid-90s, the band have once again seen a resurgence, including worldwide tours, inductees into VH1 Rock Honours in 2006, receiving a Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance in 2010, and having their songs featured in video games such as Guitar Hero, Rock Band Series. In 2022, the band were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
2022?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That took a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with Priest is, I don't know, it's just like, yes, British Steel was when they became popular. And when people talk about that, I think they often talk about it because it's like, oh, you know, it's a shame that they should have been more popular by this point.
Yeah.
But I would argue that they weren't popular because they didn't find their sound until British Steel.
Sure.
So we're going to start out by listening to Rock-a-Roller. Rock-a-Roller was their first album, so went into the studio in June, July 74 with Black Sabbath producer Roger Bain. Band released their debut single, Rock-a-Roller, that August, and followed in September with their album of the same name. The album features a variety of styles, straight up rock, heavy riffing, and progressive. So you notice I didn't say heavy metal. What I'm going to do is we're going to split this up a little bit. So I'm going to jump to Rock and Roller now. We'll listen to that and then talk about it, okay?
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Love it. Feel a little bit disco, a little bit funky.
It does feel disco, and it's because the guitar, and if you think of disco, it's hi-hat.
Yes.
So technical problems during the recording contributed to the poor sound quality of the record. Producer Roger Bain, whose resume includes Black Sabbath's first 3 albums and Budgie's first album, dominated the production of the album and made decisions which the band did not agree with. Bain also chose to leave fan favourites from the band's live set, which is a weird thing to have that level of influence, right? So they used to play Tyrant, Genocide and The Ripper from the album, and he cut the song Caviar and Meths from a 10-minute song down to a 2-minute instrumental. So
damn.
But I guess at that time, as a band, it's your first album. You're working with somebody who's worked with Black Sabbath. You aren't going to have all that much creative control.
No, you are not.
It's a dark side of the industry. Yeah. So the tour for Rock-a-Roller was the band's first international tour with dates in Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, and Denmark, including one show in Hotel Klubben and Tonsberg, 1 hour from Oslo, Norway, which scored them a somewhat negative review in the local press. The album flopped upon release, leaving Priest in dire financial straits. Priest attempted to secure a deal with Gulf Records to get a monthly pay of £50. However, because Gull was struggling as well, they declined.
God.
Yeah.
When you think about like back then and the fact that some of these bands, they were creating a genre and some of them still had like bricklaying jobs.
Yeah. Wasn't
Ozzy as well a brickie at one point?
I think it might have been an apprentice.
Oh, I can't remember. That's sad that of course they've had to bend to the will of someone who's worked with Black Sabbath as being more knowledgeable about their music than they are.
Yeah.
I really liked that Rock-a-Roller. I thought that was cool.
What's wild to me is like it was their first album.
Yeah.
And it resulted in an international tour. It was just different back then, wasn't it?
Don't even. Yeah.
But you couldn't even get a record label to give you a monthly pay of £50. So
£50 though. We're going back 1970s.
Yeah.
So, but still, like, it wasn't good then either.
Yeah. Okay, so from there we move on to Sad Wings of Destiny. So Judas Priest performed Rock-a-Roller on BBC 2's The Old Grey Whistle Test in 75, as well as the Dreamer Deceiver pair the year before. The songs appeared on Sad Wings of Destiny, so apparently I can't read. Hinch left the band for reasons that are disputed and was replaced by Alan Moore, who returned to the band in October of 75. Finances were tight. It's interesting to hear talking about bands like this and talking about finances.
Yeah,
like
because you don't get to hear it's all glorified and glamorized. It's like, oh man, we just walked up one day, we made art.
Yeah. Band members restricted themselves to one meal a day. Several took on part-time work while they recorded their follow-up album on a budget of £2,000. The group intended to make an album mixing straight-ahead rock with a progressive edge. The band recorded Sad Wings of Destiny over 2 weeks in November and December of 75 at Rockfield Studios in Wales. They stayed sober during the 12-hour recording sessions. The cover depicts a struggling, grounded angel surrounded by flames and wearing a devil's three-pronged cross, which became the band's symbol. The album was released in March of 76 with The Ripper as the lead single. So should we go and give that a listen?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, prova beer.
Stupid dog.
Oh, give him. Aww.
Right, go on.
I hesitate to say this because I feel like it's cynically motivated.
Yep.
You know how Rob Halford's voice, when he's doing all this, like, wah! It's got
Yes.
like that really wide ass vibrato.
Yes.
All it sounds like is that Rob Halford listened to Shirley Bassey and Barbra Streisand so much, which feels unfair.
Barbra Streisand and Shirley Bassey definitely very popular with a certain community.
Okay, but that's why I'm trying not to say it, because I'm like, I don't believe just because you're gay that you must consume all gay culture.
Yeah, of course.
And that somehow, like, that you just all gay people
Yeah.
listen to Barbra Streisand. I don't think that. But Rob Halford is a man of a certain age. And also, I just listen to that vibrato and I listen to Rob Halford's voice. And sometimes when I'm listening to a voice, in my brain, I'm doing the serial killer string on the wall backwards in time, trying to figure out where that voice came from. And this was, what, 75?
Yeah.
So this is 75. And I'm sorry. Like, when we were listening to a lot of the other stuff with Deep Purple and things, I can hear Wilson Pickett and I can hear vocalists like that. But when I listen to Rob Halford, I can hear fucking Shirley Bassey.
There we go. Nothing wrong with that.
That big, like, wah, hey, big spin, ah.
On the tour for this, Halford joked that the fans should burn their copies of Rock-A-Roller.
Oh no, you're wrong, Rob.
So the album had little commercial success. It's worth pointing out that what I'm essentially doing here is just reading a Wikipedia article, and it does say better source needed on that one.
But send you money and give you merch.
Yeah. And had difficulty getting noticed due to critical competition from the rise of punk rock, because of course punk rock is 70s. Though it had a positive review in Rolling Stone, fans, critics, and the band have since come to see that Sad Wings of Destiny, the album on which Judas Priest consolidated their sound and image. It features heavy riffing, complex song arrangements. Tipton and Downing have said were inspired by the factories of the Black Country. The album's centrepiece, Victim of Changes, evolved from a combination of Atkins' Whiskey Woman and Halford's Red Light Woman and went on to become a fan favourite. So guess what? We'll listen to it. Stop it there because we're not going to listen to an 8-minute song on the podcast. But it's to me it's got like that heavy metal quality to it. And I was saying for people that aren't watching on Patreon, it doesn't feel chordal, like the strumming of big chords with a bit of grit. It feels like two guitar players playing riffs where they're trying to create that. Which, I don't know, if you want to do this way of doing it, it just feels more metal than the hard rock thing.
Metal,
yeah.
There's a W in metal.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think for me, when I hear stuff like that, it feels far more like heavy rock than what I would class as metal, because I do listen to so much modern metal now.
Yep.
But that riff-based stuff is definitely not, like, because the Rock-A-Roller was definitely more melodic and more like an actual like funky, groovy song.
Yeah.
Whereas this has not got anything to do with funk and groove. It's all about the riff.
Yeah.
And also Rob Halford just being like, occasionally just doing like crazy, like, wah!
I'm
going to teach Levi to sing one of these days, and if you would want to see it, please let me know, because I hear him doing things and I'm like, you've already hurt yourself.
I've already hurt myself, yeah. The band grew dissatisfied with Gull. Tight finances led more to leave the band for a second time. Again, I see Wikipedia has a little note there, when, ? They want a source for that, this time permanently. Sad Wings of Destiny caught the attention of CBS Records, and with the help of a new manager, Dave Hemmings, the band signed with CBS and received £60,000 budget for their next album. This signing required breaking their contract with Gull, resulting in the rights to the first two albums and all related recordings, including demos, becoming the property of Gull. goal, periodically repackaged and re-released the material from these albums.
Damn.
So, but to go from recording that last album on a £2,000 budget to having 60,000 for the next record is pretty wild. So, Priest recorded their major label debut, Sin After Sin, in January of 1977 at the Who's Rampart Studios with Deep Purple bassist Roger Glover as producer. More left again during the album sessions and was replaced by session drummer Simon Phillips. The album requires... where did I get requires from? It's a totally different word. The album features significant developments in heavy metal technique, in particular the use of double kick drumming on tracks such as Dissident Aggressor, and includes a pop metal cover of Diamonds and Rust by folk singer Joan Baez. So we're going to check out Dissident Aggressor.
Roger Glover.
Yeah.
Fucking Roger Glover.
No. You're okay.
Am I doing it again?
You're thinking of Glenn Hughes.
Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, Roger Glover, Deep Purple's bass player. Glenn Hughes, Deep Purple's bass player on one record.
Listen, if you ask me to remember the name of the guy that got chanted at Lawrence several weeks ago, I'll know. If you ask me any members of Deep Purple, I'm not going to know. But you know what? I don't care, because Steve Morse said I was amazing.
Okay. Dissident Aggressor. Ready? So what do you think of that?
Yeah, that was a lot more metal. The kick of the and also just overall a fuller sound. But then I guess if you're jumping from 2,000 to 60,000, there's going to be a better recording.
It's not just the better recording; it's the better understanding of recording that has happened, or the development in technology to be recording heavy guitars. Not just in terms of how we record things, but the development in amp technology.
Yeah, and also the way that they've recorded Rob's vocals, like they've layered them on top of each other's points where he's doing his own harmony, and it does sound clear, and you can hear what's going on, and you can hear more than that. You can hear the tone of when Rob's not up at the big when he's just in the sort of just above passaggio comfortable place. You can hear the actual timbre of his voice, which you couldn't in the other two for sure.
Okay, so Sin After Sin appeared in April 1977, the first Priest record under the major label CBS, and the first of 11 consecutive albums to be certified gold or platinum by the RIAA. Phillips declined to become a permanent member of Judas Priest, so the band hired Les Binks on Glover's recommendation. Together, they recorded 1978's Stained Class, produced by Dennis McKay, and Killing Machine, released in America as Hellbent for Leather. Binks, credited with co-writing Beyond the Realms of Death, now regarded as one of the band's classics, was an accomplished and technically skilled drumming. His addition added a dexterous edge to the band's sound. Binks also played on Unleashed in the East, which was recorded live in Japan during the Killing Machine tour. While the first three Judas Priest albums had considerable traces of Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple in them, as well as ballads, Stained Class did not contain any ballads aside from Beyond the Realms of Death. Killing Machine was the first nod to a more commercial sound with simpler songs that brought back some blues influences. At the same time, the band members adopted their now famous leather and studs image.
Also, I did check. And if the people
God.
the people that Rob Halford claimed as his influences, first of all, he did claim David Bowie as one of them, makes me very, very happy. Little Richard, which I definitely should have got, but also he has cited that his favourite female musician is Shirley Bassey. Fucking called it. It says, Rob Halford, a musician, blah, blah, blah. His name Shirley Bassey is one of his favourite female musicians. Women are powerful and strong in music, and especially Shirley Bassey.
Okay. Following the release of Killing Machine in 1978 was the live release from supporting tour Unleashed in the East. It was the first of many Judas Priest albums to go platinum. There was some criticism of the band's use of studio enhancements and overdubbing in what was marketed as a live album. By this point, the playing style of the band had grown progressively heavier, with live versions of songs such as Exciter, Tyrant and Diamonds and Rust sounding much heavier and faster than their studio counterparts.
That's bonkers that they would come under criticism and at that point for enhancements and overdubbing.
On a live album.
Okay, I mean, I guess. But at the same time, I'm like, the technology was shit. Ain't nobody that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were just making themselves sound better than they were.
So Les Binks quit in 1979. He was unhappy with the band's manager, Mike Dolan's decision to not pay him for his performance on the live album. Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so they replaced him with Dave Holland, formerly of the band Trapeze. With this lineup, Judas Priest recorded 6 studio and 1 live album, which generated different degrees of critical and financial success. Here's the important bit. In 1980, the band released British Steel. The songs were shorter and had much more mainstream radio hooks, but retained the familiar heavy metal feel. Tracks like United, Breaking the Law, and Living After Midnight were frequently played on the radio. So I want to jump to that album. I'm not going to waste your time by playing Breaking the Law, because obviously you know that one. You know that one, right?
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
But Living After Midnight? Do you know that one?
No, I don't know that one.
Okay, so Living After Midnight. For reference, the previous tracks that we were listening to had between 1 and 5 million plays. Living After Midnight has 118 million. So
damn.
Breaking the Law, 300 million. So just an idea of, it seems like a silly thing to measure, but it is a relevant stat, because this tells you the tracks that people keep going back to listen to, which is interesting to me. So Living After Midnight. So you just immediately hear that mainstream thing. And it's the same with Breaking the Law. When you listen to it, it's like, oh, you're trying to be popular here.
No, but I think with Breaking the Law, and okay, maybe it's a little bit biased, I do think it's a cool song.
It is.
The Living After Midnight is a massive glass of no ma'am. Living after midnight, kissing till the dawn. La la. It's just it's pish. It's pish. It's pish. Because I expect when I hear Rob, I want to hear Painkiller and stuff like that. So when they do Dinosaur Dad Rock, I'm like, no.
Breaking the Law. Still Dad Rock.
It's Dinosaur Dad Rock.
But of course they've gone that way because it's good for them. Really good for their commercial success.
I can't really.
Maybe a necessary evil.
I want to shit on Living After Midnight because it is shit. But you put Breaking the Law on, I'm just like,
yeah,
yes.
Then we start getting cool, right? So in '82, Screaming for Vengeance featured "You've Got Another Thing Coming," which became a major radio hit in the US.
Coming.
So you know that one?
Yep.
Okay, songs such as Electric Eye, Riding the Wind also appeared on this album, proved to be popular live. So you want to check out Electric Eye?
Electric Eye, infiltrate, storm the gates! Tenacious D. So, Screaming for Vengeance and that song Electric Eye, the whole album just makes the previous album look like a steaming pile of dog shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because British Steel is by far the most successful album. It's very popular to this day. But it's their breakthrough album,
I get it.
Fair play.
But Screaming for Vengeance, that
Screaming for Vengeance is a fucking awesome title. Screaming for Vengeance is a fantastic title for an album. The artwork for the record is fantastic as well.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Top tier. And maybe the album they made previously, they knew it wasn't going to be very good, but they did it so they could progress their career forward and get the money to make the art they wanted. Maybe they would have made reaction videos.
So this is an interesting part. So on 29th of May 83, the band played on Heavy Metal Day, the US festival, a music festival in San Bernardino, California, sponsored by Steve Wozniak of Apple. The band was fourth in the lineup that also included Quiet Riot. So, let's check. Do you know these bands? Quiet Riot?
No.
Okay, Motley Crue?
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yes.
Triumph?
No.
Scorpions?
Yes.
And Van Halen?
Yes.
Yeah, so it gives you an idea of, other things that were going on during this period. So Priest continued their success through the 80s. Free Will Burning released in 83, regular on rock radio. Its album Defenders of the Faith were released the following year. Some critics dubbed it Screaming for Vengeance 2 due to its musical similarity to the previous album. 13th of July 85, Judas Priest along with Black Sabbath and other performers played Live Aid at JFK Stadium in Philadelphia.
Live Aid.
Their set list included Living After Midnight, Green Man Alicia with Two-Pronged Crown, and You've Got Another Thing Coming.
You got another thing coming.
Turbo was released in 86. The band adopted a more colourful stage look, gave their music a more mainstream feel by adding guitar synthesizers. The album also went platinum, had a successful arena tour in support with 100 concerts in North America, Europe and Japan in 86.
Wow.
A live album was recorded on this tour titled Priest Live and was released the next year, offering tracks from the era. The video documentary Heavy Metal Parking Lot was created by Jeff Krulik and John Hain in 86. It documents the heavy metal fans waiting on the 31st of May 86 for Priest's concert with special guest Dokken at the Capitol Centre. Later renamed, don't care what it was renamed. We're getting to the important bit. Well, where we're going to end it. In May 88, Ram It Down was released, featuring several reworked songs left over from Turbo. In addition to new songs, the band recorded 3 tracks with pop producers, Stock Aitken Waterman, 2 originals, Run Around and I Will Return, and a cover of the Stylistics hit You Are Everything, produced by Matt Aitken. Producer Matt Aitken said of the sessions, "I think it was ill-conceived."
Oh, damn.
It was unlikely it was going to work, but we went in with a spirit of optimism and we did our best with them. So a reviewer called Ram It Down a stylistic evolution that resulted from the band's attempt to rid themselves of their tech synthesizer approach and return to the traditional metal of their fading glory days.
Jesus.
The reviewer argued that the album showed how far behind they were lagging. The thrashers they helped influence in earlier years. In 89, longtime drummer Dave Holland left the band. And here we go. In September 1990, the Painkiller album used a new drummer, Scott Travis, formerly of Racer X, who gave the band an edgier sound thanks to his heavy use of double pedals. This comeback album also dropped the 80s style synthesizers for all songs except A Touch of Evil. The tour used bands such as Annihilator, Megadeth, Pantera, Sepultura and Testament as opening bands, culminated in Rock in Rio performance in Brazil in front of 100,000 fans.
Fuck yeah, I love a character arc that lands like that.
Yeah. Part of the Judas Priest stage show often featured Holland riding on stage, Halford, on a Harley-Davidson motorbike, dressed in motorcycle leathers and sunglasses. During a Toronto show in August 91, Halford was seriously injured as he rode on stage when he collided with a drum riser hidden behind clouds of dry ice mist.
Oh, Rob.
Though the show was delayed, he performed the set before going to hospital. Hill later noted he must have been in agony. In 2007 interview, Halford claimed the accident had nothing to do with his departure from the band. Well, of course it didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to continue reading from this point.
What?
But yeah, there was a trial around the idea of subliminal messaging in their music, you know, the
God,
devil and people killing themselves. And
people ain't got no imagination. If you're looking for the devil in the backwards records played from 70s dinosaur dad bands, you really you've got short vision.
Yeah, so we are...
Spooky tooth.
We're going to finish... No, we are going to finish this episode with one song. And that song can only be Painkiller.
Listen.
I know you know it.
No, I do. And I think it's astonishing. I think it's amazing. I think Rob's vocals in it are phenomenal. I think the arrangement of the whole thing is so innovative. It pained me to watch some of the videos of people reacting to it and them just going, wow. I wanted to punch my own face off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a high art.
Yeah.
High art.
Because once Travis joins the band, his drums are just... You know it.
Yeah. It's so astonishing. Rob sounds amazing in it. Like I say, it feels... Stuff before felt heavy metal, but this feels like a really great L-shaped turning point in their own evolution, but also in music in general, because there's a lot of stuff that I've heard on the channel post and pre stuff like this, where I'm like, oh, y'all are just trying to be Rob in this.
It is worth pointing out, so I know you can't see it anyway, yeah. So do you know what year that came out?
That Painkiller?
Yeah.
1990?
Yeah, so 1990. It's definitely on a fair bit, you know. There's 20 years of evolution from the start of where we're talking about metal. 1990 is actually quite late when you think about it. When you consider that, you know, the thrash thing had happened in the 80s. You know, Slayer were on the scene, Metallica were on the scene, Testament were on the scene. All these bands existed. So it's very much like, it's awesome. It's fantastic. I love it. I love the sound. But I have to consider that it almost certainly was influenced by the other people that had come
That's fair.
post them. It's like the re-influence.
Sure. Priest
did their thing early in the day. They influenced a bunch of bands who went on to do a bunch of things, and then years later Priest would start to take those influences and make them this.
I think if you're a good artist, then you should feel no issue in taking things, or at least being inspired by younger acts than you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think Judas Priest, to their credit, if that is the case, which it obviously is, having things like Annihilator and Megadeth as your support means that you're looking around and going, who else is here that's currently doing things that were maybe inspired by us but are now doing it probably a little bit better than us? Like that's props. That's props. Because it'd have been dead easy for them to go, oh no, we created, so we don't need any of these people.
Yeah, I like this. This is in a sentence in on the Wikipedia article, just on its own. In a February 1998 interview on MTV, Halford came out as gay. It's just that.
Yes, he did. And for genuinely, I want to say it in the comment section for so many people. Rob Halford fucks men. He fucks men. Deal with it.
That really, really upsets people.
It really upsets people, and it's wild to me.
Yeah,
2025.
I love Judas Priest. I don't need to be reminded of that. Thank you.
Do you know it's that? But it's also people doing that thing that I'm like, you do realise that's just very thinly veiled homophobia, which is. What he does in his own personal private life is nothing to do with us. We don't need it rammed down our throat. And it's like...
But you didn't mind him singing all the songs about sleeping with women.
You were literally singing songs about Rob Halford ramming it down someone's throat. Soz.
Yeah. So, that's all I really have to say about Judas Priest, or all we're going to cover with Judas Priest. But what do you guys think about that? What are your favourite Judas Priest tracks? Let us know. We, of course, can always check them out at the start of the next episode.
Yes, please.
It's all very much appreciated. We love your input. It means a lot.
It does mean a lot. I'll leave links in the description, as always, for the Does Metal Have Soul playlist. Also just some catch-up stuff if you want to have a look at that. If you want to check out the full episode, you can find it on Patreon, or if you want to continue just watching it here, that's also very much appreciated. So,
sharing this video, leaving a comment, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it really does help. So thanks for checking out the podcast. Next week we will be coming back and talking about Rainbow. That sounds like it should be one for you to tune into. We're going to get to talk about Dio.
God damn it. Him and his fucking weave. I'm ready.
So I'm going to pass this one over to you. Until next week.
Suck a bag of Richards.